Okay, thank you. First, let me thank you, the IPSL, for organizing this particular workshop and inviting me as the resource person. I am honored to be doing this workshop because there are so many people had joined this workshop. That's the reason we had to test whether we have to do even live stream through the YouTube as well. So I think there's a live stream happening at the current moment. Uh, so today we are going to learn a little bit about Google Sites and how it's going to work. To help me with this, I have two of my research assistants, Mr. Thiran and Mr. Chandima. So in the chat windows of either Zoom or in the YouTube, these people will help you find replies you need. I will also try to give you some good answers, but there might be some delays because having two parallel Zoom and a YouTube stream and doing a workshop at the same time is little bit post some kind of attention distribution, but I will try to do my best. So let us start our workshop. So this workshop is distributed into several situations. First, let me tell you the main content that we are going to work. Now, we are going to learn what is a website and what are the types of websites, pros and cons of a website, different methods of developing a website, and then finally move into developing the website. So you might be wondering why we need to cover all these things when you can just jump on and start building the site. The thing is, when you are developing a website or something, it's important to know the limitations you are facing. Otherwise, you might be stuck in some place that you can't come out, or you might not even attempt a thing that could have been easily done. So that is the reason for giving this particular background knowledge. However, don't consider this as a very complete course on web development. That is not the idea. And also, certain definitions may not 100% agree with your textbook definitions, because instead of giving you 100% accurate but a complicated definition, I will try to explain something that is easy to understand and will satisfy most of the time. So that is the idea of this little PowerPoint. Now let us start. Now, what is a website? A website is basically a collection of web pages. So web pages is basically a collection of files. Web page is basically a file that is served to you through the internet. So the computer that is sending you this file is called a web server, and your computer, that means laptop or the PC, that is getting the file or receiving the file is known as the client. It is not always necessary to send the file to the internet. It can be even through your local network, or even the same computer might serve as a web server. But most of the time, your website will be hosted across the internet. So in our Google sites, we will be hosting it on the web server in the internet. When you receive this file, how do you view it? Now, there's a special program to view this particular type of files. These are known as web browsers. There are different types of web browsers. For example, you have Internet Explorer, you have Firefox, you have Chrome. Theoretically, all these browsers should function identically. That means if you view a particular website in different browsers, they all should render it or function identically. So regardless of the browser you are using, you should say the same result and the same page. Unfortunately, some websites implement certain functions that are not standard, some functions that are browser specific. Therefore, certain websites look different in different web browsers. In certain web browsers, your website will work properly, but in other web browsers, it may not work properly. So it's a good idea to check whether your website is looking and working properly in several common browsers. Just because it works in a single browser doesn't mean it will work in other browsers. Fortunately, Google sites have used most of the commonly standard methods, so we will rarely have that kind of issues. Now we learn what is this HTML, what is this web page and things like that. So this web page is a file, and it is written in a language known as hypertext markup language, or HTML. Now, some of you may have already learned about certain languages like C, Java, PHP, things like that. However, HTML is quite different to those languages, because in those programming languages you have functionality. You can create for loops, you can declare variables, you can create if conditions. But HTML is quite different. It is a markup language, which means it is mostly like formatting and styles. You can think of it something like a Word document. Now, a Word document is not functional. You just type it and it sits there. But you can change the font size, you can change the colors, you can add images, things like that. Now, HTML is most likely like that. It's a styling and layout defining language. Later on, HTML5 added some functionality to support multimedia content, but still it is quite far from a standard programming language, because that's the way it is designed to be. So all the web pages you see will be created using HTML. However, most of them will have, in addition, some other files. Most probably you will have a CSS and a JavaScript. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. What it does is it makes the organization of the formatting much easier. That means, let's say for example, you are creating a website. You have several subheadings on the web page. You want all these subheadings to be bold and maybe in a different color, let's say brown. In the HTML syntax, for each of the subheadings, you have to specially say, make this bold and make this brown. So it's a very tedious task. What CSS does is, it take out this common term and give you a single place to say, okay, all the headers should be bold and brown. Then it's very easy. Therefore, most of the time you can see CSS used in the web pages. Other thing that commonly people see is the JavaScript. Now, as I mentioned, HTML is a language basically for the markup. So you can't create any interactions and things like that. Very basics one. If you want to have more interactions, let's say small animation, or maybe you are in your web page, you have to do a small calculation. Such a thing is implemented using JavaScript. Such a thing is implemented using the JavaScript. So this JavaScript is called a client-side language. We'll come to that in a little bit later. So that's how a website is usually made from. But in today's workshop, we will be not using any of them. At least we will not be functionally trying to program those things. We will be basically using Google Sites to build it without actually having to learn all these facts. That is the focus. In the next slide, I will give you some graphical illustration of how this can be managed. Now, this is how basically a web page works. You first send a request, that means something like gmail.com or something, and in the end, the web server send you a file. Now that is HTML file. So it comes to your PC or phone or tablet or whatever the thing that you are using. Then it goes to the web browser program. Web browser look at this and do a rendering. Rendering in the sense means it display the result. So you are able to see the result. Now we can split this particular scenario into two different sections. This side is known as the client side. This side is known as the server side. So your PC, web browser and everything is in the client side, and the web server and everything is in the server side. In addition to these common things like web browser and the web server, you might have certain additional resources. For example, web server might have a database server. It might even have a file server. And you have server-side programs that are written in a different language, maybe in PHP. In the client side, you have client scripts, and you can have cookies and things like that. So understanding the difference between these two types can be important. Now let me explain it using an example. Now client-side programs are run in your computer in the web browser. Server-side programs are run in the web server. They both have their own advantages and disadvantages. Let's say you want to log into a certain site. Let's say maybe a online banking site. You fill in the details, and let's say you somehow forgot to fill in the password. It's blank. Now soon as you click the login button, you will notice the web page will say please fill the password. You can't leave the password blank. Now to check something like that, it's a very simple thing to check whether password is filled. You don't have to send that all details back into the web server and have it processed. You can write a very small script to check whether all fields are correct, whether you have entered the wrong number, or whether you have entered something invalid. Those things can be done in the client side. So they are done in languages called client side scripts like JavaScript. Now Google sites allow client side scripting. That means you can add data validations. If you want, you can add some animations. Those things you can do in the Google sites. Let's say you enter your username and the password. So the client side script finds that username and password are both entered, but it can't validate whether it's a correct password because the credentials are not sent to your web browser. They are safely stored somewhere in the web server. They will never send you the those vital information. So once they are filled, your reply will go back into the web server. In the web server, they will look at the database and see whether the password is correct, and if it is correct, it will send back your reply. So the check-in of the password is handled by a program in the server side. That is called server-side programs. Unfortunately, Google sites don't support server-side programming. So you can't implement anything that has to do database related activities. Those things are not possible, but client-side things, you can do it. So that is the main difference between server-side, client-side, and where the Google site stands. Now there are two different types of websites: static websites and the dynamic website. Static websites means they are same, they stay the same regardless of the person or the situation. They have a wide variety of applications regardless of whether they have been static. Let's say you are a company. You want to inform your client about certain things. Let's say your contact information, what kind of services you provide, maybe something like your opening hours. Now they should be common to all the people. So whoever views the website, they should see the same thing. So such a website can be built using static website technology. That means it's basically only a HTML page. Someone write HTML code and put it in the server. Dynamic websites, on the other hand, make changes depending on the person and the user. If you log into your Gmail account, depending on the person, it will show different content. I can only view my own email. I can't view other person's email. So the web page I receive is different from a web page that you receive. So such a scenario is called a dynamic website. So how does a dynamic website works? It's still a HTML page, but the way it is created is different. In a static website, web developer someone write a static HTML code and put it in the web server. So that pre-written HTML code is sent to you. In a dynamic website, the programmer write a different program using server-side language, maybe PHP. So that program is the one that generates the HTML code. So the developer doesn't directly write the HTML code. He writes a program to create the HTML file depending on the situation. So depending on the situation, this program might create different outputs. That's how the dynamic websites works. Now let me quickly discuss about some of the advantages and disadvantages of websites. Now websites are mainly used for doing communication. So what is the advantage of using a website? when compared to standard mediums like TV, radio, or printed media. Main advantage is 24 by 7 presence. That means you can access the website anytime, anywhere. And you have a global reach. Usually, conventional medium only cover local area, maybe a country, maybe a region like that. But your website, the one that you are going to build today, can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Let it be America, Africa, Europe, whatever, they can still access your website. It is cost effective. The Google site we are going to build will be completely free. It can contain rich and interactive content. You can have multimedia contents, audio, video, interactive animations, all these things can be embedded. And you can make a website customizable. That means depending on each person, your website can present different content. That's the part of the dynamic website. But in a standard something like printed media, everyone get the same treatment. And it is very easy to expand or improve your website. But with these things, you have certain disadvantages as well. Main disadvantage is you have the global competition. It is directly related to the global reach. Just like you can reach USA, the USA person can reach Sri Lanka. So let's say you are doing graphic designing, you can design logos and business cards, and you want to promote your business through a website. Now, same as you can get a client from a different country, a foreign country, there will be foreign people who are doing the same job and might be attracting clients from Sri Lanka. So you are competing not only in local market, but you are competing against a global market. At the same time, it makes it very hard for you to find some person. What do you mean by that? Now, if you do a small search, something like graphic design, you will find millions and billions of Google search results. But how many people ever go beyond the first maybe 2 or 3 result pages in the Google? We rarely do it. We first click maybe 1 or 2 things in the top, and then we either give up or we use a different search term. If you don't come into that first few pages in the Google search, people may not be able to find your website. So it gives a very competitive competition about how to come to the top of a search engine. That is known as the SEO, the search engine optimization. So that's why all this buzz about the search engine optimization. If you don't come to the top of a search engine, people may never find it, because it's rare for someone to go to thousands page in the Google and click your website. So it is important to think about that as well. But of course, if you have a particular business or something already established, you can leverage on that. For example, in the Open University, students already know we have a website. So we don't have to worry much about search engine optimization if our main client is students. Because students, we have already made contact using other mediums, so they already know about a website. But if you want to contact with someone that is completely strange or new, you have to think about the search engine optimization. And the last point is, although VSIT has a global reach, there are limitations. For example, to build or use a website, you need to have a computer or a phone. Not all people have it. And you need to think about infrastructure. Maybe the region you are interested in doesn't have good internet facility. Certain places in country have that issue. We usually see this in these days because students sometimes complain they can't come to online lectures, things like that. So you have to think about them as well. And there might be even technological limitations as well. For example, an elder person living in Colombo might have all the computers and able to buy the computers and the internet facility and everything, but if he is very old, he may not want to go to internet and find something. He may prefer to find that in the newspaper somewhere. So you have to think about all these things. The reason is, when you are building a website, you have to know their limitations and what it can and can't do. Now I'm coming to the last 2 slides of this particular presentation. There are different ways to build a website. The hardest And the basic way is to use the notepad. Believe it or not, you can build a full website using only a notepad, because HTML and PHP and all the languages are just text. So using some text editor, you can write the code, but it's not very practical. At least not if you want to build a complicated website. If someone want to learn about web development, that's a very good way to start. But to have a commercial website, that is not a good thing, because it's very hard. You can't find the result immediately, and all those things are there. Therefore, we move to the second possible way of web development, which is using a software, for example, like Dreamweaver. Now, in the Dreamweaver, if you want to add an image, you just drag and drop that image into the place you want to put it, and the Dreamweaver will automatically write the code. It will write the HTML code saying this is the size of the image, this is the place of the image, things like that. It's a little bit easier than the first method, but that doesn't allow you to create dynamic websites. It only allows you to create a static layout. If you want to create dynamic kind of thing and don't want to code it directly on the notepad, you can use something called framework. Framework means commonly used functions put together in one place. Common frameworks like Cake PHP, Symfony, and things like that are available. Let's say you want to create a login page. If you're using Notepad or conventional programming, you have to do a lot of things. You have to get the username and password, check whether you have any SQL injections, and create a hash, check with the database whether the hash match with the password, then create a session, send it back, and all those things are there. But login page is a very common thing for most of the web pages. Therefore, all of these frameworks already have built-in code for that login function. You just write a single line, and all the things I mentioned automatically happens behind the framework. So that makes dynamic web page building quite easy. However, after this, there are two other ways you can develop the websites. There's a small difference between the three methods I mentioned and the ones I'm going to mention after this. Because in the first three methods, you are doing most of the coding, you are doing most of the designing, therefore you are free to do any any type of web development. Maybe a blog site, e-commerce site, maybe something that's hybrid, you are free to do it. The fourth method is to get a fully developed web page or a website, but without the content. Now, of course, when you have a fully developed website, that means you can't have a generic kind of thing. You have very application specific developed content. For example, if you are doing a blog site, you have WordPress. Now WordPress handles everything. You only need to write the blogs, upload photos and things like that. If you are doing e-commerce, you have things like Magento, PrestaShop, and things like that. For web development, you have Joomla, Drupal, things like that. And I'm sure you are all familiar with the last one, Moodle. Now Moodle is specially geared towards online learning management. You can't sell items on the Moodle. That's not how it is built. But you can very easily conduct the exam online. So the Moodle is geared toward learning management. Now, when you install the Moodle, you don't have to worry about the programming and things like that. You can just create a new course, upload your PowerPoint, and maybe upload a video, add a quiz. You can do all these things without having to write a single line of code. So the code is written, only the content, things inside is missing. The last one is an extension of the scenario. So you can have in the previous scenario like WordPress and Moodle and things like that, but you still need to host them in a web server, like installing it in your computer, right? But in the web server. But it's a little bit more complicated. You need to install maybe a PHP engine, maybe FTP, and maybe database. All these things has to be done and managed, and network security has to be checked. All these things are there. So the final solution, the most easiest one, is to find a service that's already done all these things, and only the content is missing. So they have done the coding, they have done the hosting. Only thing missing is your content. So that is where the Google sites come in, and Blogger is also in the same area. So those are the possible ways you can develop a site. So Google Sites has several advantages. It's completely free. It doesn't has any advertisements. If you look at something like Wix, it's again free, but it has a small advertisement saying created by Wix.com, but no ads in the Google Sites. It's easy to build. Once we started, you will notice it's quite easy, drag and drop. And it can be easily integrated with other Google products like Google Docs, Google Forms, very easy to integrate. And since it's hosted in Google, you can rely on its uptime. Therefore, Google sites to go down. And you can have access limitation and sharing. If you want someone else to share with editing part with your Google site, you can do it. You can have more than one person developing the website. But there are disadvantages as well. First of all, its customization is quite limited. There are only very limited font types, very limited colors like that. And same goes for the styles and template. Very limited styles and template. And as I mentioned, there are no server-side scripts. So if you want to do some very heavy server-side kind of thing, it can't be done. Only client-side scripts are allowed. But this is not exactly correct because you can integrate Google products. So certain things can be done even in Google Sites. Let's say you want to get a feedback. Conventional way of doing is having a server-side script and a database. But in Google Sites, you can use something like Google Form to do the same thing. So it's not exactly zero, but not exactly full. It's somewhere in the middle. So this allows us to, our conclusion is, if you want to build a fully fledged website, maybe a commercial site, unfortunately Google site is not up there. But if you want to do something very quick and easy and something just for the time being, Google site is more than enough for that. It's built mainly for collaborative and personal sites. So if you want to have something more professional, you can go with something like Wix or some other kind of. With that, we come to the last slide. How are you going to build a website? Not the steps now. Let's say you are going to build a website. So there are different ways you can do it. Sometimes people just jump into the web development and start putting images and content like that's not exactly a good idea. You can think of it like when you first start writing essays, maybe in your school when you are very young, you had written essays. Now let's say the topic is my country. You immediately start saying my country is Sri Lanka. Then next you think, okay, it's beautiful. My country is very beautiful. It has these things. You just put down whatever comes into your head directly on the paper. That's not exactly good, right? When you get older, when you are asked to write an essay, you first make a draft. Say, okay, this is how I am going to enter into my essay. This is my introduction. These are the main content, and this is how I am going to finish it. And for each of the content, you can categorize them. Okay, I will talk about the culture. I will talk about the natural beauty. So that way, it makes a real professional kind of essay. Same goes with the website. You can start with dragging and dropping things. In fact, that's a very good way to start it, to test and things what it can and can't do. But when it comes to build the actual website, better to have a plan. So the first thing is you need to find the requirement. For whom are you going to build it and why are you building it? How are you going to build it? For example, if you want to give your science knowledge or education to children who are affected in rural areas. Now that may not be a very good idea for a website because the people in rural area, students in rural area may not have access to internet. So you have to think about why you are doing it and how you are doing it. Very clear about that one. So once you have idea of what you are going to do, you have to make a design. What are the main pages you are going to use? How many pages? How are you going to navigate? And what kind of theme? If you are building a science site for small kids, it should have very high number of colors, bright images, maybe some cartoon characters, things like that. But if you are building a website for, let's say, university students, putting some cartoon characters may not be a good idea. They may like a very clean, but having more graphs and data and table like that. So you have to think about the audience, and depending on it, how many pages, what kind of themes, colors, things like. Once you come up to that point, time to gather the content. You may need to find some photos, maybe some logos, maybe some text. All these things you need to gather. Then you start developing the actual website. That's the part we are going to cover today. After that, you need to test it. As I mentioned, different browsers can affect the output. So test it using different different web browsers, and also in different devices. Something that looks really good in a laptop may not look good in a mobile phone. Fortunately, Google Sites allow us to test those different formatting, different layout options. Because one is portrait mode, other one is the landscape mode. So Google Sites allow us to check them. Once you are satisfied, you can publish the content. But after publishing, you still have to maintain it and keep updating the, because I have seen some sites that are 10 or 20 years in old, still not updated. That's not a good thing. So once you publish it, it's better to update the content. So with that, we are ready to dive into our main part, which is the actual development of the website. So before going to that, is there anything you want me to um, clarify? You can put it in chat, or if you are joining with the Zoom, you can ask verbally. Anything you'd like to have? Okay, if there's nothing for me to clarify, let's start building the website. Small update, we have shared a, a feedback form with you, and I think in the YouTube viewers you can have it, see it in the description, and for the Zoom viewers we will share the link, and the link may already be given to your email as well. So fill it after or while we are doing this particular activity. Let's start building our first site using. First step is to go to the google.com and log in. Now I'm already logged in. The reason is I am doing the live streaming from my account, so I can't log out and re-log in. But if you are not logged in, you can click on this one, login. If you don't know what the Google account means, just go to Gmail and log in, because it's a product of Google. The same sign in will work for all the content. So now it's time for you to go ahead and do it. Unlike in earlier workshop, this time I can't see your desktop. Usually when you're doing this kind of workshop, we ask you to come to our lab and do it, so we can see what the EPFL is doing, but we are unable to do it in here. So if you have finished, or if you have any problems, please make sure to put it in the chat so we can see it. And if you have completed, you can just say you have completed that as well, because then I can adjust my feed with you. So if you have finished logging to the Gmail account, please put yes, or you can click the thumbs up or yes button in the Zoom window, so we can continue forward direction. And the people in the chat in the YouTube can also participate with me in this one. Log into your Gmail account. That can't be that hard. Okay, now most people have logged into the email account. Then I want you to go to a specific web address, that is sites.google.com. sites.google.com. Now once you are in this particular site, you will notice there are several templates available for you. You have a blank one. There are different styles. You have portfolio style one, up, events, web center, project. So that's why I said there's only a very limited number of styles available in the Google sites. But if you look for something like WordPress, you will see there's a lot of, maybe thousands of different designs. But this one is very limited. But from them, for our project, I'm going to start with a blank one. Later on, if you want to build something based on certain profile, you can select them as well. But for our one, I'm going to click this blank. Then you should end up with something like this. Okay, are you okay with it? People have done. You can give me a feedback. Okay, now this is the home page. Home page means that is the page a person will see when they first come into your website. So when they type the web address in the address bar, this is the first page they will land upon. This is called the home page. So usually a home page has the most important content. Details are in the pages. Let me quickly guide you through some of the menus you can see here. First you have the site name at the top. Then you have the undo and redo buttons. Here you have the preview button. So once you are building the website, you can preview what it looks like using this preview button. This is the link. I think it's not available for you also. Until you publish a site, you will not get a URL. That means you will not get a website address. It's grayed out right moment. And here you have the share with other option. If you want to share the editing content with your friend or maybe someone else, you can click it and give them the right to add or delete content or things like that. Here you have the settings button. This will have the most common settings for websites. After that, you have three main tabs. The first tab, the insert tab. So these are the different things you can insert into your website. Then you have the page tab. If you want to create a new page, this is the place where you're going to view and manage the page. Then you have the themes. Different themes are available. Again, very limited themes, but they are there. And you have different colors for each of these themes. If you move your mouse across these sections, you will notice there will be certain pop-up menus appearing. If you move it here, you can see there are certain pop-up menus appearing. If I move it here, you will get another menu. So when you are moving across these sections, you will start to see different menus automatically appearing. So for this one, I am going to use some dummy content. not exactly dummy content. We have a society called Spectrum. I think most of our students already know about it. Uh, so I captured some of the content from it, and this is what my layout is supposed to look like. So I'm going to use some content from this one. So this is my main title. I'm going to type by the way, you don't have to exactly copy what I'm typing. You can enter whatever the content you like. That's why I ask you to collect some of the content prior to attending this workshop. So if you may have collected different things, different text, different photos, you are free to use it. And if you face with any issues, please uh, go go to the chat and people will help you. So this is our title. You can do a little bit of formatting of this one. I like to have it bold. Bold. You can see how easy it is. Just like in the Word, just type it, make necessary changes. You will not get a font color menu here. It has to be set from the themes. But you can make the different styles, and bold and options like that are available there. Now this particular background looks very boring for me. I want to add a different header image. Select change image. There are two options. Upload means I can upload a file, an image from my own computer. So if you have a photo that you like to put in the header, this is called header or the banner, you can upload it. Otherwise, you can search the internet. I'm going to search the internet. First, it gives me a list of photos in the gallery and select any. Let's say this one. Select. You can see it's changed. Or you can find content using different ways. If you know the exact URL, that means web address, you can type it here. Or you can even do a Google search. Let's say, since this is a right, I can physics and a different option. You can select any of them. I don't know, just for the sake of simplicity, let me select something let's say something like this. You will notice soon as I click this one, there will be this small blinking of the stars. That is about auto adjusting the colors of the text and this image, so it become more visible. I'm resizing it to different content. So this will automatically change the colors of this content to suit it. You don't have to have only static ones. If you want, you can even have a animated ones as well. You try to upload animated text. This is a GIF. Certain files are supported, but certain file types are not supported in the uh, Google sites. So the GIF and the JPEG are supported, but some bitmap files may not be supported. So you have to find the supported file types if you want to do it. Now I added the animated background, so you can see it's animated. Now it looks a little bit better than the default one. Another thing to notice when you are adding images from the internet, please be concerned about the copyright, because some images you can freely use, especially the Creative Commons ones, but certain images you can't use without the permission from the author. Since this is education one that we are doing in the workshop, you can use it. I think it will be fairly justifiable to use them during the workshop, but if you want to actually publish a content, please be concerned about that as well. You should not violate copyright usages. Now our title is completed. In addition to this, you can change the header type as well. That means you can make the header either smaller or larger. Something like cover. See? That is quite large. If I go to something like this one, large banner, larger. If I go to this one, smaller. If you say title only, the image completely disappears. I will have it something like this. That seems to be the correct one. You can have your own preference. You don't have to always add the animated background. You can add static images if you like. I just showed you because it's possible. Usually you have a static background in the most of the websites, so you can use a static background, no issues there. In addition, we can add a logo. Here you can add a logo that will appear here. Again, I have found a logo for our Spectrum Society. Go to edit. That will appear here. If you scroll below, you'll find there's another one called favy icon. What is a favy icon? Now, if you look at the web browser, after this website name, you have a small icon. For example, Blogger, you have this text, and in front of it, you have a small icon. This icon is known as the favy icon. So if you want to have a website and have that icon appearing here, you can set it from here. Now the favy icon should be small because a large image when scaled down may not look good. It's better to design it from originally from a small size, but to save the time, I'm going to use the same thing. This will be my favy icon. You can access the same menu using the settings, or you can access from the one. You can access it from here, or you can access the menu from here. Right. Now you have the added the logo and the favy icon. While we are at it, maybe we can change the theme. You can go to themes, simple, and select another one. I see different themes have different looks. Okay, I think I'll stick with this one, and I like to change the color. Blue. And change the colors by selecting them. If you want, you can have a custom color as well by clicking this icon and select a custom color, but for me it looks okay, and I can change the font style. This one doesn't seem to have much effect, but if you go for something different, you will see and also changes. Okay, we have our header completed. Now it's time to add the content. To add the content, we go back to the insert menu. Then it decides what kind of content we want to add. Or you can even double click on some page, somewhere in the page, and you will get a shortcut for most common used one. But all the contents are available on this right hand menu, right hand ribbon. At the top, you have most common used ones: text box, images, embedded code, and the Google Drive links. In addition, you have layouts. That means combinations. Here you have an image here and a text here. Two images and two text. Four 4 images and text. 4 images and text below. So like that, you have different layouts. After that, you have different items again: text, table of content, images, buttons, dividers. That you have different components you can add. Now I like to add, let's start by adding a text box. You can see it immediately here. Now first part, I like to start this web page by saying our vision and mission. It's there, and I like to make it a heading. So I click on this one, and then from these options select heading. So it becomes bold or different style. This theme doesn't look quite good for me, so I'm going to change it to white theme. So that's fine. This is our vision and mission. In addition to changing the text, I can also change the background of this particular section. So here, select a different kind of background. If I select emphasis 1, you notice color changed. The background have a different effect. If I go emphasis 2, have a different. And while you are doing it, if you feel like your theme is not matching, and again go back and change the theme without any issue. Now it seems to be much better because all the themes seems to be in the same color. Right, now I want a quick feedback from the people. Were you able to change the header and also add the text below the header? Give me a thumbs up or a feedback. Okay, seems like people are doing it. Right, now we have added the header or a title for this particular section. After that, I like to add some other content. By the way, for this one also you can add different images. If you want, you can go to image. Again, you can browse the internet or you can select something here. Now you have a animated heading. Now I'm not very good at artistic kind of decisions, so that's not exactly my strong area. So the decisions I make about colors and animations will not be a very good one. So it's up to you to decide which ones are the most suitable colors and things like that. I'm just giving you the tools. If you want to have animation, you can add animation. So I just add animation just for the fun of it. Maybe it's better to have something like this. That would look a little bit decent than adding all the animation. After that, I'm going to add some content. I'll go to insert, and I like to have image on the left side and some description over the right side. So this is so the first thing I like to add in this web page is some details about our society, respect to society. So I'm going to fill this one, and for this one I need to add the image. Don't have separate image, so I'll maybe add the logo as well. And when you click on this one, you can see there are some additional options appearing. You can have the upload image, select image from the drive. Other than that, if you want, you can even add a video, YouTube video. We'll do it a little bit later. Calendar and a map. I will upload the logo again. You know this logo is getting used again and again, but you can find a proper content, maybe a photo or something like this. Now when you add the logo, you will notice it's cropped out. The logo is larger than this original container. What you can do is you can click on this one. Then there will be several dots appearing on the border. Go to one of these dots, click and drag. That side looks proper. And click and drag. And that gives you the resizability. You can resize any of these containers using that method. You can select this one. Like that you can drag and drop to resize the content. Image is there. Now I can add some content for this text box. I already have some of the content in my Word document, so I'm just going to copy paste it. Okay. Got spectrum will be my details. If you are also copy pasting from the Word document, please note some of the formattings may come into the website as well. For example, line spaces, bullets, and things like that, maybe color, might copy it from the Word into the web page as well. If that is what you want, that's fine, you can just copy paste it. If you want only the text content without the formatting, it's better to paste it into the notepad and then copy it back into the website. That way you make sure there are no any unwanted colors or underlinings or anything like that. This text look little bit left aligned. It might look better if we do a justification. We'll do a justification. Okay, that looks fine. Similarly, if you want to change the alignment of any of these content, you can do it. For example, if I want to have this title at the center, I can do a center justification. Now my web page have this title in the center justification. If you want to do it in left justification, you can do it. You can drag and drop these content, resize them using the mouse. I have added the first content to your website. Okay, again, a feedback time. People who have finished, give me a thumbs up. If you are not finished, you can say no or go slower or something like that, then we can ahead. Okay. Hello, yes.
Can we change the spectrum?
There's no direct way to you can change the font size. You have to select either title or something like that. Directly you can't change it. Those are some limitations. So you can come up with something like CSS, but the customization of the colors and styles is quite limited in the Google sites. Okay, right. Now let's go back to this one. I want to add another two text boxes, but this time I want to add them side by side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this text box, make it smaller, half of it. Another text box off, and I'm going to drag and drop it here. So you can see now there are two text boxes. When you are dragging, don't drag it from here. If you drag it from here, the whole section, that means the whole row, will move up and down. If you want to move part of the section, you have to select that particular item and edit. So I only wanted to move this text box, not the full uh, row, full section. That's why I selected that one and edit. You can see there are some guidelines available, these small vertical bars. So your content will normally snap onto those bars. You can use them as guides as well. So here I am going to say mission and vision. And I will copy paste again something from text. Now this time when I copy paste the Word document directly onto this one, you will notice that formatting goes completely wrong. That's because in the Word document I have them in the bullet point. Now the bullet point format in the Word and the bullet point formatting in the Google Sites are not 100% matching or compatible with each other. You'll have to remove these bullet points from here, or you can just paste them first into the notepad, remove the formatting and paste them back here. Some extra lines here also. After that I can add a bullet from here, make it bold, make it a heading. Everything looks, maybe do a justification. For the vision, I'm a little bit lazy to type everything, so I'm just going to copy paste it from the previous text box. Vision. You look carefully. Now you have 3 text box content. Now we have added some content. Let's try to preview and see what our site looks like. To preview our site, we will go to this preview icon, select this one. So this is how my site will look on a laptop or a desktop. And see how the content is aligned. Here in the bottom you have different options. So if I want to see what's happening, what it will look like in a tablet, click on this one and it automatically resizes. So this is how it's going to look like in a tablet in that scale. If it is a mobile phone portrait, you can click this one. So this is how it's going to look like in a mobile phone. You can see the aligning and everything automatically is handled and it looks quite okay. We don't have any scroll bars appearing here and there, and images are not cropped in the middle. Looks okay. Once you have finished previewing the site, you can close this preview and it will return back into your designing page. Okay, our preview looks okay. It's time for us to publish our site. Before we publish in the site, we need to add a web address for our site. If you already purchased a web address, that means something ends in .com, .org or .lk or something like that, you can use it here. You may need to verify that it belongs to you, but you can freely use that URL here. Cost of purchasing a URL is quite low. It's something like .com or .org, around 2000 rupees per year. If it is a .lk domain, around 5000 or 6000 rupees per year. If you don't want to spend that amount, you can use the free domain name given by these Google sites. Only difference is it will have certain uh, words like yoursites.googlesites.com or something like that added to it. Not exactly a fully customized domain name. Let me see. Just spectrum site. So I entered this particular one as my domain name. This is going to be my full domain name. So if you go to this one, https://sites.google.com, sorry, I don't think viewpart will come. We'll look at that. This is the address I like to have. If the address already exists, Google will complain you can't have it, it's already there. So most of the popular and common terms will not be there. You have to add maybe numbers or things like that. You are using a free site. I'll select it and say publish. Okay, it's now published. When you publish, you will notice this link automatically becomes active. Since my site is now published, I can access it across the internet. Let me copy it and go to a different tab. Paste it. Okay, so this is my site in the internet. So if you wish, you like to show your sites to other, you can paste your link in the chat somewhere so others can click and see whether it's how it looks like. My one, I'm going to paste it anyway. You can just click it and see what's going it looks like. So by this time you should be able to edit the text, add some images, make some content, change some layout, preview your site. Have already published your site. If you have completed up to this step, again give me a feedback and move and start adding few more items into our website. Okay, I can see some people have already submitted links. Right, now let's go to adding some other content. We have single image here, but it looks a little bit too dull. Let's add some more images. So the next section in my design is, after introducing a little bit about our society, I like to tell others about what we are doing, the events we had done and events we are going to conduct. So I'm going to add another text box. Say things like events. This should be a heading, and I like to move it below this one, so I can drag this one and like this section below. So this top section is about the spectrum, what our society is about and what our target, things like that. The event section is about what I've done. I can again add the emphasis, make it look a little bit better. Right. So the first part of the events, I like to have some kind of a slideshow of the images. So people get excited when they first look at your website. You don't want to throw them all the text. Maybe they like to have some video and some photos and things like that. So I'm going to add this section of images, automatically rotating images. This is known as image carousel. Go to this one and select item. So this will allow you to create something like a slideshow. We have set of images that will be automatically changing. Select this one, then it will give me a window asking where are my images, what kind of images I want to add. So I click here, upload images. There are some images with me of the past events we had done by the spectrum. I'm going to select them and add them. There are some images there. If you want, you can change the order as well. If I want this image to be the first one to display, I can change the order. After adding these images, there's one small change I like to make. By default, this image carousel will be in the post mode. That means you have to manually go one image at a time. I like it to automatically start at the beginning. I like it to automatically start at the beginning. There's a small setting icon here. Click on this one, and there's the auto start option. I enable the auto start. If you want, you can change the speed as well, how fast the images are going to change. Check and for the auto start. Medium seems okay for me. Back images are there. Click the insert. Let me do a quick preview and see how it looks like. Preview. If I go to that, I need to click OK, and let's look at the preview. Okay, let me just add some more content and see why it's not updating properly. So I added a image carousel here, and on this side I also like to add something more. Let's add some YouTube video. What I can do is I can go here, select YouTube, and I can find the OUSL. I like to insert this particular OUSL video here, like this. Now we have the website, video, and one. Now you can see the both of the items are appearing in the preview. Here you have the set of images that are automatically changing in the slideshow, and here you have video, YouTube video. You click it, can see the video is loading. Hmm. Let's make this title and the background color of this section the same one. So that way I can make sure this section looks different to the this section, so person can clearly see where each section ends and another one begins. If you want to do it forcibly, you can add this divider as well, so it will insert a line across this one, so a person can clearly see where the one stops and another one begins. You can see how easy it is for person to quickly add content to this kind of site. You don't have to learn about any coding. It's like drag and drop, something like word formatting and things like that. Now there's another question from the Zoom. How do you modify your website after publishing it? Well, you can log in back into the Google site, and you can from there start editing it. If you want to delete it, you can go back to the starting page. At the end, I think I can show you. When you first log into the Google site, you saw there's a collection of sites, and at the top you had the option of creating a new site, blank template or certain template. In that page, it will show you all the Google sites you have already created. You can select any of them and start editing them, or you can click and delete any of these sites. So when you first log into the Google sites, it will give you all the list of sites that already being created by you. Once you're inside the website, you can start editing, selecting and editing. You can do it. How do you change the appearance of a digital tablet? So when you go to preview, there's a tab at the bottom. At the bottom, you have this one, tablet view. Sorry, this is the mobile view. This is the tablet, and this is the PC. This bottom tab is the one that helps you change the preview. Right. So we have the main content about our site, and then events. There's something else we like to add into the events. Because people might like to know what are the events that are upcoming. If you want, you can manually add a list saying, okay, this day we have this list, this workshop, this day you have this AGM and things like that. You can make it a little bit more professional and easy to manage by adding a calendar. Once you click the calendar, you will have a list of calendars attached to your Google account. I'm going to attach the OUSL calendar. This is the OUSL calendar. However, this one looks in the agenda mode. It's not a monthly view, it's an agenda. I want to change this view into monthly view. I click on the calendar, go to settings of the calendar. Here it says view mode agenda. I like to have monthly view. Show the title. I don't think that is necessary for my site, because people should know it's already the spectrum site or something. Remove it. Other things fine by me. Of course, you can have your own preferences. So if you want to have the title, you can have it. If you want a weekly view, you can have it. So according to this timetable, there are no events scheduled, so I don't see it. If you have any events, you will get the calendar notification here. Maybe I should add same theme here. Those are the events appearing. Another thing we can add is a map. Why do we need a map? That helps people to participate, come to the university and participate the event. So I like to add a map to my website as well. Go to the map, net one. Okay. the Open University of Lanka. Once you select this one, it will automatically, yes, okay, this looks okay, there's no room. Select. Map is there. I am going to drag and drop it side by side this one. We make it a little bit smaller to have the same size. Okay, now we have a calendar and you have a map. This calendar will be automatically updated. So if you maintain a Google Calendar, once you update it, these events will be automatically added to the Google Calendar. Now you have completed most of the first page. The society name, you have your vision, mission, and about the society. You have events, you have the photos of past events, you have some video, events calendar, and you have a map. One thing that is missing is the contacts. Contact is very important. It's so important, most of the website have them in the section called footer. Footer means at the bottom, just like in the Word document. The difference is a header or a footer will appear in all the web pages. They will appear across all the web pages. Right now I have only developed a single web page. Later on we will add several web pages, 2 or 3. So the footer will be common to all these web pages. So click footer and we'll add the contact information. So the contact information will be available in whatever web page you are there. Then I copy paste it from the Word document. You can type it as well. Okay, this is the contact information. If you want, you can add even drag and drop the Google Map as well. So the footer section, you can add any element just like in the earlier situation. In the earlier section, you could add anything. Similarly, if you want, you can add things like a video or things like Google Map or anything like that. But for me, I will just stay with the contact as address and finish it there. Now it's time for us to preview the finished home page. Right, this is my home page. Looks okay. I have the footer, and some people add the copyright at the footer as well. Right. Let me know if you had finished your home page. Then we will start adding few more pages and some more options that are available in the Google Sites. Right, let's move to the next section. So while we are doing it, let me share our feedback link. We are not finished with the workshop, but when you get a free time, you can click on this one and start filling it as well. And people in the YouTube, you will have the same form in the description as well. Our website is a collection of pages. Mention it at the beginning. Time for us to adding more pages. Pages you can think of like different chapters of a book. So different page, the different purpose. So the home page is basically giving the description of your society or your business or something like that. It's like a summary. It makes the people wanted to go for more information or find the most important ones quickly, like that. Now let's add the page. To do that, we go to this menu and select the page tab. The page tab, you can see there's already a single page called home. You want to add another page, so all this as, click on this one. And Spectrum is known to have many workshops and events, so I want to have a separate page to illustrate details of these events. Homepage we had only a summary, some photos and what are the things that are happening in this month, like that. But there are so many things that are happening throughout the year, so I like to have a different page for this one. Events, click on this one and you can see the banner appears, but the text is now changed. It doesn't say Spectrum Society, it says events. And the footer is already there, contact us, but in the middle it's empty. You can click this one and go to any of the pages. So this is our home page. If you click this one, you come back to the event page. So this is the events page. So we are going to add some more content into this one. Here and select insert. Now I am going to use a different type of text called collapsible text. When you click it, it's something like the reason is I want to highlight the main events that are happening, and if anyone is interested, they can click and expand and read the description. So a person doesn't have to scroll across all the text to find what it wants. He can see the highlighted text, and if you want to go to more details, he can click on the details. First event I like to add is let's say MATLAB workshop. A MATLAB workshop. In 21. Here I can add some details about the workshop. By the way, in the collapsible text, you can't add images inside this text box. Whatever you put here, it has to be text. I add some information here. What else? Maybe we'll have another PCB workshop. Some details. Whatever details that are relevant to PCB workshop. And of course, we have our AGM. AGM 21 and some details. Like that. You can see it's little different to the text boxes in the home page. In the text boxes in the home page, all the details were always visible. Now you have only the highlights. Some are not, they can click, details will be there. Right. Now in the details I have said to download the MATLAB, click here. Okay. Maybe you want to create a link to some external website. There are many situations where you want to link to other sites directly from your website. we call them as hyperlinks. Now I want to create a hyperlink to MATLAB website so people can download the trial version and come up with it. Let me find the MATLAB site. Okay, I want this site to be linked into my website. Copy the address from here, and there's something called click here. Okay, I want this part to be my link. Go there. There's something called insert link. Click on that one. There are two options. Either you can directly enter a URL or you can select a web page already in your website. Now the MATLAB website is not inside my web page, it's a different one, external one. I will simply paste the MathWorks URL there. Now it's highlighted. So a person can click here and he will be directed to the MathWorks website. That is how you can create links in the Google Sites. People okay with it? The participants? Okay, there are a lot of thumbs up coming to YouTube. Right, the two pages are there. You may notice when you add the page, something happening at the top. This is the menu bar. In the menu bar earlier you only had home link. Now you have another link for the second page, which is called events. So likewise, when you add pages, your menu bar will be automatically updated. Maybe you don't want to have the menu bar at the top. Maybe you want to change it. So to change it, you can go to settings, and here you have the navigation option. Now it says top, so the menu will be at the top. You select the site, you see the menu bar appearing in the site. In that way, preview, and see the menu bar is actually appearing in the side of this one. In addition, you can change the way the menu bar is displayed. Go back to top, whether it is transparent, white, or black. You can decide how it is going to change, how it is going to look in this one. And in addition, you can enter your site name here. Since we had already published our site, we can add that site name here. Publish it as test spectrum site. That will be my site name. I'm just going to say .com, but it's not going to work because this is not a purchased one. But if you had the purchased one, you can add whatever that name here. And they click it, it will appear here. Okay, we added a second page, this events page. Now I am going to add another page. The reason is this one is only given the summary of the events. The next upcoming event is, let's say, the MATLAB workshop. So I want to put some more details into MATLAB workshop, and also I like my participant to register. Before attending the workshop, I like them to register. Now I need to add a way for them to register. So if I put a registration link or form here, it will be a little bit too messy. So I'm going to create another page especially for this event, because this is the next upcoming event. I'm going to create another one, say MATLAB 2021. Select done. Okay, here I can add more details about the registration and all these things like that. However, with that we come to a different problem. You can see now the menu has this MATLAB 221 as well. Now the computer doesn't know this is an unimportant one. It basically put all the pages in the menu. So if you go like this, your menu will be filled in no time. Or if every page start appearing in here, it will be filled. It will be too cramped. What I need is I need this MATLAB 221 to be a sub page of the events. The event is the main page. Under that, I need to have the different events. I'm going to click, look carefully here, and drag and drop onto the events page. Then you can see it became right indent and it became a sub page. Now in the menu, when you go under the events, you can see tab 221. Similarly, I can make other pages for PCB workshop and version 20. So someone go to this menu and you will be able to see all these sub items. Now I have the MATLAB page as a sub page of the events page. Now I want to add the registration form. Now I have already prepared the Google registration form. It's very easy. If you have a Google account, you can go to the forms and create your own account, own form. Let's add the text saying register here. Here, that will be the heading. After that, the registration form. I simply go to insert, forms, then it will show me all the forms that I had already created. This is the MATLAB registration form I created. I select it, insert, here, form automatically entered. So that is why I said it's not exactly a static website. You can still have some details like interactions. Here, the registration form is here. People can go there and start registering for this particular one. So when they click the submit button, that detail will be entered into your relevant Google Sheet. Now I am going to make another modification to the events page. Why? Some people may not like to go all the way around like this to get registered. Maybe they want to directly go and register. So I like to have a link for them to register. So in the events page, right now under the MATLAB, I have the download MATLAB link, but it doesn't have the registration link. If they want to register, they have to go to this menu and click the MATLAB 221 menu. So that may be confusing to people who visit my site. I can say register for this workshop. Click here. Maybe I can put it in the bold. Now the idea is people coming to look at this workshop, they may be interested in MATLAB workshop, they click it and there's a place where they can click and go to the registration page. I need this to be linked to my registration page. So I select it. Again go to insert link. But instead of adding an external link, I want to link it to a page that is already in my website. So I'm going to select MATLAB 221. So when they click here, they will be directed to registration web page. Let's preview it and see if it works. One person comes here, click it, and yes, they are directed to the registration form. Now let's publish and see what's going to happen. Now when you publish it for the first time, you will notice it directly published. But when you make changes after doing the first publication, the window will be slightly different. So when you click the publish for the second time, you will get something like this. This is basically a comparison. The reason is when you are doing web development, first you completely develop the website and then only you publish it. After that you have maintenance or some updates like that, because once the website is live, anyone can see it, so you don't want to make mistakes. So that's why you have this comparison, so you can see whether everything is properly there. You can see the draft, and this is the current version. You can compare them and see if there are any changes. There are a lot of changes. We have last published before entering the events page. Okay, so you can see the changes in this side as well. I'm satisfied with these changes, so I'm going to say okay, publish it. That means make it public. Now we are going to make few more content. Let's say a person comes into this home page. He doesn't know that there's an upcoming event held by the Spectrum Society. Now I like everyone coming into this society know about this upcoming MATLAB workshop. So instead of having this person go to these sub pages and noticing it, I like to put something like a notice banner. So to do that, we need to add an announcement banner. We go to settings, and at the bottom of the settings, you'll notice there's something called announcement banner. The announcement banner is something that pop up in the top of your website. Either you can show it in the home page, or either you can show it in all the pages. If there's something important, you can show it all the pages. We show banner, and what do we want to say for this one? And say our message is MATLAB workshop 2020, and see there's a word limit as well. What do you want to say on the button? There will be a button. Say click to register. And once that person click on that button, what do you want to do? We want it to go to this MATLAB 221 registration page. If you click this one, open in the new tab. When you click the button, the page will be open in a different tab, not in the same tab. Okay, that is done. So let's close it. You can see there's an immediate change. There's a announcement banner appearing at the top. It says MATLAB Workshop 221. Click to register. You click it, you will be redirected back to the registration page. The announcement will be appearing on all the pages if you selected it like this, or if you select only the home page, this announcement will appear only in the home page. When you want to switch off the announcement, you just need to go back, announcement banner, and switch this off. So don't use announcement banner to display too much information. It's just for urgent things, like when you have that flashing new button, something similar. Now this button appears only at the top. Let's say you want to add some more buttons but at different places. Then what you can do is you can insert a button object into your website. Let's say I want to add a button after this one for the same event. I can go to insert, scroll down, select button. Okay. Say register for MATLAB workshop. And that button should bring me to this registration page again. You can see there's a button appearing now. I can move it a little bit up. This is, and make it a little bit larger. Best place to put it. This one. So the layout and colors and things I'm not going to worry much, and select which is the place, what is the best place to put these buttons and like that. But now you know how to add a button as well. If you are finished with this one, we are going to move to the next section, which is a slightly different one, which is about embedding other codes. So even with this amount of knowledge that you have learned, you should be able to create a decent website. Sometimes you want to add few more additional things, the things I mentioned as JavaScript. So here up to this we haven't write a single line of code, but still you can create a quite decent website. What is that? Oh, it's quite nice. If you put some more nice photos and proper content, you can make it even more beautiful. So before going to embed in the code, again I need to check on how many people have come up to this point and how many people still want to explain certain things. Let me ask you to give a feedback again. How many of you have finished this one? Still doing the designing and things like that. How many people are doing that? You can give a thumbs up or a yes button when you're finished. If you need anything clarified, again you can put in the Chandima and Tirina are there to help you. Right. Let's start adding some content. but specifically some JavaScript. You don't need to learn about JavaScript because most of the things that people use are already written by other people. You can probably get the code there and use it. So what I want to have is I want to have a countdown timer here. That means to make people know how many days left before this workshop starts. Now that kind of thing you can't do directly on the Google site because it doesn't support server-side scripting or anything, but it can be done using a JavaScript. The way I can do is I'm going to the internet and search for JavaScript countdown timer. Okay, there's a countdown timer script by W3 Schools. That's a good website. So probably it has a proper code. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Let's look at where the code is. Okay. Here's the JavaScript code. So if you are familiar with JavaScript, you can write your own code to embed, edit this thing like that. But for the time being, I'm just going to copy paste this whole code. Come back to my website, and this time I am going to click the embed button. I'm going to click the embed button. Embed, and there are two tabs. The first one is by URL. I want to paste the copied code, so I should select the second one. Get code, paste. That's the code. The only place I want to change is the starting date and the time. At the beginning it says where's the time, so the set date is January 5th 2021, so let me change January 15th. Next, this is what the preview looks like. But the result of the JavaScript is appearing there. I like to move it at the beginning of the web page, move it back up. So the font look a little bit small. Unfortunately, there's no just a click and edit kind of scenario for the JavaScript. If you want to change it, you have to change the script a little bit, or maybe to embed a CSS. I'm not going to cover those parts. You can see how JavaScript can be embedded into this one. Now we have a functioning Java code which is doing a countdown. The last page I want to add is about page. Let's say office where page. And let's say Exco members. Let's add something like this. And see the menu. Sorry, this office where should be a not a sub page of the event. It's a new one, so I'm going to drag it outside this one. So now I have three main pages: home, events, and office bearers. The menu again, you can see home, events, and office bearers. Maybe it's better to at the top before the events. Let's add some images. We'll start with these people. First add Professor Susira. Hey, Susira. And who else we have? We have our Vice President, Dr. Vichanaka. And two more people. I think you know all these people. Katilaka and our candy representative Dr. Sena, Professor Senathiran. Right, you can add the text as well, and you have the very easy. Let's say we want to link this to our OUSL website. Again, the same way, you select it. In the add link, you can add the OUSL academic page link. So when someone want to know who this professor is, he or she can click on this one and go to the description in our OUSL website. One more page, because this page is going to give you some limitations of the Google sites. That is the membership page. They join us. Then it should not be subpage, so I'm going to read it out. Let's add a chart showing how our membership had increased with the time. Yeah, our membership growth. To add a chart, first you need to create something, some data in the Google Sheets and create a chart there. I already added some dummy data in the Google Sheets, so I'm going to insert this chart. Okay. Right, that is how our membership had changed with time. Now comes the place where you have the problem. I don't know why it's not yet a feature, but Google site doesn't have a standard way to insert the tables. Tables is a very important thing. Unfortunately, this one doesn't support tables. So we have to go about it in a roundabout way. What we are going to do is, first I'm going to create a table, the Word document. Okay. Let me show you Word document. Right. So this is the Word document I had been using as a source for my web content. There are different web pages I had decided to create and some text content. And I like to include this particular table. The table about different membership fees. Unfortunately, you can't just copy paste it in the Google site. It's not going to work. What I can do is I can copy only the table, this, and create a new blank new blank Word page and paste it here. Then you will notice in the file save as menu, you have this option to save it as a web page. So that means it will create the HTML code for this table. Select that one, click save, where I had saved it. Save it in the desktop so it's easy. Right. So with that, I am able to save my table as a HTML content. Then I can open the notepad, see if the content is actually there. The desktop, the files. Okay, the code is there. Uh, this is, some of the contents are too much, some of them are not exactly in the HTML. So if you're familiar, if you want, you can use a different site like HTML table creating site. But for me, I'm just going to copy paste this whole thing back into my Google site. Then insert, embed my HTML code. Okay, now the table is there. I should have made the font a little bit larger. This is how you can insert a table. So just like a table, you can insert anything that's in the Word document. You just need to export it as HTML and then embed that into your web page. Right. Now when you publish it, you can see the table as well. Okay, so I think we have finally finished this particular website. If we look at the preview, see what it looks like. We have our website name, we have banner say announcement by click to register, and we have our logo and everything. In the home page, we have the small animation, some themes are there, you have images, text, different layouts side by side on top of each other, image and text in side by side. You have an image slideshow, and you know how to insert a video now. You have the calendar, you can set it in the agenda mode, the week mode, or anything. You have a Google map. Then you have a footer showing the contact information. Then we learn how to create pages. We have another page here, this bearers, a set of images. Then we create a page and a sub page. The page you have collapsible text, and you have also links to the internal sites and also to the external websites. Then we created a sub page. In the sub page, we had embedded a Google form, so that way when someone fill this one, send the submit button, the Excel sheet will be automatically added. If you want, you can show that details as well, and show a graph saying how many people have registered so far. Then we have then we learn how to create embedded code like JavaScript and also embedded HTML code. That basically comes into the conclusion of the website development of the Google sites. Earlier we want to do a little bit of blogging as well, how to use the blogger. So but time seems to be 10 minutes past 12, so I like to see what the people are saying. If they want to learn a little bit about blogging in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I can cover that in very brief. Otherwise we can finish the workshop on the Google sites from here. So let me know what do you think. You want to go to the website development in the blogger one as well, or do you want to keep this one and finish it here? 10 minutes? 10 minutes? Yeah, not much. Okay, that seems to be the feedback as well.
Let's continue, sir.
Okay, fine. Since you are already in the Google account, and directly go to the Blogger. So the address is blogger.com. It's again maintained by the Google, so you can use the same login called blogger.com. The difference is they have two different aspects. Sites are mainly for companies and institutes like that. Their content is basically static. You don't normally change the Office Bearers or Exco only once in a year, and membership fees and things like that are very rarely updated. Maybe once or twice all the information together, maybe once or twice a month. Blogs are, on the other hand, like a digital diary. People write to the blogs daily or weekly basis. It's like an open thing. If you are a tech person, maybe you write a blog about new items you find in the market. So they are basically the chronological order, the time-wise basis, not mainly categorized in subject-wise or things like that. So the order and everything is different. If you are enthusiastic about cooking or something, maybe you can put certain recipes you tried out. So it's not exactly a professional kind of website. It's more like an open sharing platform to share the details. Let me quickly show you a blog like that. So this is called Engadget. It's for tech blog site. You can see what it looks like. So the top post here is the best Black Friday tech deals we could find. So these people is shopping for technical items. So that's the post. So this one should probably be popped up in the last few days. Tesla car, something different things. So this is what a blog looks like. You have these posts. These are called posts. You find something, you post it, it appears in this website kind of manner. But in a website, you don't have post, you have static pages. Static in the means they are not regularly updated. A blog site is different to that. In addition, blog sites allow comments. Web pages rarely allow you to have comments. Right. If everyone is in the blogger.com, you can click this one. I'm not sure when you're first starting how the menu will appear, but since I have created a certain amount of blogs, so you can see there's a list and create new blog icon. And here you can give a name for your blog. The other difference is this blog site is based on WordPress. So you don't have to do any designing or anything. You can just enter the content. In the Google sites, you had to drag and drop images, not images, the layout. That means you have to put each content, things like that. This is much more easy. Let's say my test blog site, something. Click next. Then you have to have an address. Test blog site. See whether it's available. This address is not available, so it's a 2021. Okay, that name is available. So when you are doing it, you have to check whether the address is available. So if someone want to visit my blog, he will have to use this one, my test blog site 2021.blogspot.com. That will be my address. Again, you can purchase a URL, but I will go with the free one. Save it. Okay, that is done. People in the workshop, were you able to come to this point? After this, it is very straightforward. If you're able to come to creating your first blog site, edit the content is easy. Simply go to blogger.com. If you are not logged into the Google, you can log into Google and go to blogger.com. Then you start saying create a new blog, give a name for your blog site, and then you give URL address for as well. Okay, any thumbs up? Finished? Okay, we'll start by selecting a theme. So in your Blogger site, in the left side, there are many options. Go to the theme. And you have different themes, lot of themes. Not like in the Google, you have different themes. And select some theme that you like. Uh, let's say this one, I like this one. Select the theme and say apply. Okay, there might be a message saying some gadgets will become available. That's fine. Apply it. Okay, theme is applied successfully. Now let's add our first post. We click the post button, click new post. Then you will see something similar to the Word document, something like a text editor. So you can add your content there. My first post. This is my first blog post. After that, let's say I like to add the image. Have a place to image. Let's upload something from my computer. Okay, now the image is here. If you want to change something, you can change the font size and everything like this. It has more options than the Google sites. You can add tables and all those things are there. Once you finished having your blog, say this is my first post, it is finished. You can preview it using the preview button. So this is what it's going to look like. If you're satisfied with it, back and select the publish button. Yes, I want to publish it. Okay, my first post is published. If you want to look at what your blogs look like right moment, you can go and click. There will be a button label link at the bottom. View the blog. Click on that one, and this is your blog. You can see the layout is already been selected for you. This is your blog site name. I should have put the spaces in the blog name when I'm typing it. In the URL you can't have spaces, but in the name, blog name, you can have spaces. They don't have to be identical. URL is the one that type in your address bar, so the people can go there. the site title is the one that you see in here. You can see there's a search box and everything is automatically. Let's add another post, new post, the second post. We'll add another image. Okay, we publish it. Now, if you go to the preview of the website, you will not see the update. You need to refresh it. Select the refresh button of your web browser, and now you can see second post is also appearing. You will notice whenever you post a new post, it will be at the top and the other posts are gradually pushed down. It's not like that you have a fixed way of making them up and down. It is possible, but the default way is whenever you update a latest one, that becomes the top story and everything else get gradually move down. You can also have an archive. That means all posts are selected here. You can go to a different post in different times. Maybe we can change the theme a little bit to show you how versatile these things can be. Let's say something like this. Okay, the theme is applied. Then go back to site, click the refresh, and you will immediately notice that now the site is completely different. Now the menu is appearing at the top. You have this photo at a very large context, and the second for the original one is reduced to a smaller one, and you no longer see that sidebar. Earlier one you had a sidebar here showing the search button and things like that. They are no longer here. We go for again a different theme. Let's say this one. Just apply this one and show you what the layout option is about. Okay, new theme is applied, refreshed. Okay, so it looks completely different. This image we have to change, I think. Other than that, there. You can see how easy it is to build a block. I want to change this top image. So certain themes give you a customization option. So click this customization option, and okay, here it says this is the main image. Do you want to change it? Okay, let's change it to something different. And complete. We move back. We have to save the changes. Click the save button. Move back. Now when we preview this our website, our blog site, completely different. You have a different header image. This is my first post, second post, and things are like that. Let's say you want to add some search box to the side of this one. So this one doesn't have a search bar. What you do is you go to the layout option. So far we had been working with the theme one and the post one. Go to the layout, and it shows you all the main places. You have a sidebar, you have a subscription, you have a search button, header, like that. If I want to add the sidebar, search for a sidebar, I go for the sidebar option, add the gadget, to find the search option, Yeah, blog search. Edit. Now you automatically added the save option. That is how easy it is to change the things. There's a option for pages as well. Pages are for the constant things. That means things that do not change. You can pin a page to a certain place in the blog. For example, you might want to have a page about yourself. Let's say you are someone who's enthusiastic about technology, so you update your post weekly about new gadgets coming to market. At your about page, you don't need to update it because that's almost fixed. You can create those kind of things in the pages. Things like contact information about myself, you can create them as pages. If you create them as posts, when new posts appear, that post will go, the older post will gradually archived and removed from the home page. So you don't want to remove your myself details from the blog because people will be interested on that. So in that case, you can create a page. You can create the page button and create a new page. It will look almost like the post. So the composing part is almost like a post. Only thing is you can forcefully put it in somewhere in the menu or in the sidebar somewhere. So it will always be there. So you can use pages for that scenario. Those are the main things to get you started. Of course, there are many other things you can add in the blogger. But once you started using this one, these main things, you can gradually experiment with them. You can click on different options, sharing options, comments, and things like that, and probably you can away with it. Anything you want to ask about the blogger one? If there's nothing, no questions there, I think we have come to almost end of this particular web's development uh, workshop. Please let me remind you to fill back our feedback form because that's one way we measure the attendance and also help us improve. So please fill that one. That's a question. How do you set the appearance that it looks in the tablet? For the blogger, you don't have that option. For the Google Sites, you have it, but for the blogger, you don't have that option. So please fill the feedback form before we. Thank you. I think back to Professor Susira.